But however, I would just like to point out, Mr. Chairman, how the potential and practical difficulties that one might encounter in pursuing bilateral arrangements of this nature. For instance, to cite an extreme example, in the case of federal states like the United States, these states there, you have 50 states there, and they have different state laws. Their labor laws are different from each other, depending on the state. The state of California was mentioned by one of the resource speakers, but the labor laws in the state of California are different from the labor laws in the state of New York. So those are the practical difficulties that one might encounter, Mr. Chairman, in pursuing bilateral arrangements. But those are some of the thoughts that we can share with you at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, USec. Senator Francis.
Mr. Chairman, I think the job here of DOLE is to help the committee finalize the contentious points coming out of the proposed bills, and not to lecture on us that it is difficult. Sinabi nyo, mahirapan kayo. How would you convert your seemingly unpreparedness status right now to preparedness? That's why we're crafting a bill. And don't cite American laws, blah, blah, blah. I'm also a lawyer in New York. Hindi na pinag-uusapan yan. Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, paano natin matutulungan yung manggagawa natin na walang employer-employee relationship na nakalagay sa saligang batas, trabaho ng Estado na bigyang proteksyon ng manggagawa. Hindi yung iiwas tayo na hindi namin kaya to, paano natin bilateral relations. Help us craft this bill. Help us fine-tune these pieces of legislation. Enable our workers benefit from social legislation that can be provided by the state and Congress. So, wag natin sabihin, ay mahirap nga gawin to. Paano natin gagawin? Parang umayaw na tayo rito, sir. Ang trabaho natin, pagandahin ito, ayusin to para sa mga manggagawa, hindi yung para umiwas tayo na hindi natin kayang ipatupad dito. Nasa ibang bansa, meron na tayong Department of Migrant Workers, meron tayong mga polo, Department of Foreign Affairs ang pumapasok sa bilateral relations. Bakit natin, parang sinabi niyo sa amin, wag na natin ituloy ito at napakahirap nito. Wag po ganun, sir. Wag po ganun, sir. Napakasakit pakinggan yung ganun. Kami, kahit nakabakasyon, nagtatrabaho rin kami dito. Si Chairman, pinagpupuyatan din ito. Pero pag sabihin natin na hindi natin kayang ipatupad ito at gawin, umuwi na tayo. Parang mali ho yun. Hindi ho yun ang sinumpaan tungkulin nating lahat dito.
May I,
Mr. Chairman. Before that, Senator Joel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I commiserate and share the sentiments of our dear colleague, Senator Francis Tolentino. This is the problem, Mr. Chairman. Pagka simula pa lang, ayaw na natin or nagko-complaint na tayo na trabaho na naman, hindi mo maganda yung dating. Kasi when you start thinking about the laws of different states of the United States, we don't care about it. We care about our people. We are here to protect our workers. We are all in agreement that at this point in time, there's nothing in the provision of the labor code. Nothing with regard to, when you talk about our laws, zero protection for our freelancers, for the informal economy. And that's what we are talking about. And just for the record, Mr. Chairman, when we passed the occupational safety and health standards, DOLE came to us and said, we don't have inspectors. This representation introduced an amendment, 200+ million pesos for our inspectors, and we provided inspectors for DOLE. And perhaps let's be extra careful in making statements na parang mahirap itong trabaho. Wala namang madaling trabaho, especially to help our people. For example, Mr. Chairman, itong Section 6, itong rights of freelancers. Babalikan ko lang, Mr. Chairman, just to found my point here, Mr. Chairman. This was written and part of the bill because I am not supposed to ask questions anymore, Mr. Chairman, but let me ask this question to the Department of Labor and Employment. What have you been doing? The complaints being filed by our freelancers on the conditions of their employment. What are you doing? How do you handle these complaints? Considering that freelance work is primarily governed by the civil service, by civil code. Do you have a system of assistance to guide them, to guide our freelancers on the proper recourse, and to educate them of their rights? Yung mga narinig natin kanina, hindi nila alam saan sila pupunta, ano gagawin nila. So this is the answer to the problems that we are facing. But right now, sige, pag-usapan natin. Gusto niya, pag-usapan natin. Anong ginagawa niyo? Isa-isayin natin lahat ng sektor. If that's what you want, Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to stay here until the wee hours of the morning and we'll ask questions. How are you taking care of our freelancers? Yung isang photographer na kumuha ng pictures dun sa isang kasal, biglang hindi siya binayaran. Anong gagagawa niyo? Sa amin pumupunta para humingi ng tulong. Anong batas meron tayo? Wala. So this is the reason why we're spending time, quality time, to help them, protect them. So punta tayo sa ibang dako, yung mga riders, biglang umorder, hindi binayaran. Ang gagawin natin? Mismo sa PSA natin, hindi naka-record kung sino freelance. Isa sa atin dito, wala makapagsabi. Ilan talaga yung freelancers dito eh. Ilan din sa informal economy. Wala makapagsabi eh. Sabihin natin, hindi, mahirap tong trabaho na to. Baka hindi natin kaya to. Eh, mahirap po yun. Parang, baliwala na lang tayo. Abolish na lang natin lahat sarili natin. Pagka ganun, Mr. Chair.
In fact, you never submitted any position paper before this committee with regard to this bill that we are discussing right now. Comsec, is there any did they submit any position paper? The DOLE? Wala. So I don't think,
May I, Mr. Chairman?
are you interested?
Mr. Chairman, with my apologies to the good senators,
Chairman, yung iba nag-submit na ng position papers. Yung kumukontra, wala palang position paper.
Chairman, if I may, with the permission of the members of the, again, we express our apologies for whatever undue statements that we may have made. We manifest, Mr. Chairman, that we are going to submit formally our position paper. But as I prefaced my statement earlier, we welcome the filing of this bill because it opens a whole new avenue of discussion. The intention of the Department of Labor and Employment in pointing out the matters that we have earlier stated was really to put forward the discussion points that we feel ought to be further explored in relation to the drafting a bill that is going to be responsive to the needs of not only of freelancers but, as I've said earlier, to the needs of the workers in the emerging economy who are involved in emerging work arrangements, particularly the technologically driven work processes, Mr. Chairman, honorable
Chairman,
senators.
I think the problem arose from the non-submission of DOLE of its position paper and the expression of personal opinions coming from the representative of DOLE. You separate your personal biases and opinions vis-a-vis the official position of your mother department, which may be contrary to your personal opinion. It is not the opinion of the entire DOLE family. I'm very sure of that. We have hardworking other personnel of the Department of Labor willing to accept additional duties for the sake of our workers and not abstain or refrain from having additional functions. So paghiwalayin mo yung personal opinion mo at yung opinion ng DOLE.
Maybe we can ask him if that was his personal opinion or not.
No, Mr. Chairman. We came here after due discussions within the Department of Labor.
So then let me ask this question, Mr.
That
Chair.
was your personal opinion?
No, Mr. Chairman. We came. We have a committee in the Department of Labor and Employment. We call it the Technical Committee on Legislative.
No, the
Affairs.
statements that you just made earlier, was that your personal opinion or is that the opinion of the department?
And that is the department's position, Mr. Chairman.
Position paper.
And we manifest that if we may be given a chance to submit the formal position paper.
So as far as I understand, you are not in favor of this bill. Am I correct?
No, Mr. Chairman. As I've stated earlier, this is a very good opportunity for us to clarify certain issues about the workers or those workers who are involved in the emerging world of work. We know that there are many problems encountered, including how they enforce their rights arising from contracts, including their access to labor dispute resolution mechanisms, and also including their access to social
Sinabi mo
protection
kanina,
mechanisms.
ang departamento nyo, hindi kayo handa, kung ano-ano sinasabi ninyo. So, katulad nga na sinabi ni Senator Francis, na nandito tayo para tulungan kami, magtulungan tayo para protektahan itong ating mga freelance workers. May tulungan niyo naman kami. Hindi,
Yes, sir. Certainly, we are at
yung aming mga ginagawa dito.
your disposal, Mr. Chairman.
Pakialam namin sa mga labor laws sa California, mga labor laws sa New York. Ano pakialam namin doon? Nandito tayo sa Pilipinas. Ang sundan natin, ang mga batas ng labor laws dito sa Pilipinas, wala tayong pakialam sa mga batas ng ibang bansa.
Mr. Chairman, I mentioned that because one of the resources speakers mentioned a California law, and that was also in relation to the matter of entering into bilateral arrangements with other countries.
But it's
I was
beside
disappointed.
your jurisdiction as DOLE. We have Department of Migrant Workers. We even have Migrant Workers Office in every embassy. So why would you talk about something that is outside your jurisdiction? Even DMW is no longer part of DOLE. May I know, Mr. Chairman, may I ask you, USec, committee is this committee that we are in?
This is the Committee on Labor.
Committee on Labor, and we're tackling these very important measures. And the Department of Labor and Employment has no position paper? How is that, Mr. Chairman? Anong committee to kung ganun?
I myself am surprised because the committee secretary just informed me that there was no position paper submitted by this department. Senator Robin Hood.
Maraming salamat po, mahal na tagapangulo. Siguro para medyo lumamig-lamig ang hangin, ibahin ko muna yung topic. Opo, pasensya na ho kayo kung nag-react ang mga mahal niyong senador sapagkat nabigla din po kami sa mga sinabi niyo po. Pasensya na po kayo kung kami nag-react. Katunayan, yung mga binanggit niyo po, nandun po yun sa mga panukalang batas. Katulad po noong right to a written contract or agreement, right to just compensation, and equal remuneration. Nandito po lahat. Nandiyan po sa panukalang batas. Opo. Ngayon, igaganon ko muna po para lumamig. Medyo painumin ko muna po ng tubig si Senator Tolentino na high blood yung boss ko boss. Doon muna po ako. Kasi po, kami po mismo, ang asawa ko po ay may online business. Meron din po kaming mga delivery boys. Tatanong ko lang po sana, kasi napakahalaga po sa amin yung internet connection. Ito po para po siguro kay ASEC Jeffrey, Ian D. Yan. Ang problema po namin, yung aming internet, kaya ano pa ang ipalagay namin? Sasabihin nila, ito pinakamabilis, di pupunta kami doon. Tapos sasabihin, ito ngayon ang pinakamabilis. Doon naman kami. Pero parang wala din. Parang mahina pa rin po. May araw na hindi mo magamit. May araw na. Kailan po ba lalakas ang internet natin? Ito po, merong sinasabi na nagkaroon na tayo ng bagong batas na nagsasabi na pwede na tayong pumasok ang foreign investor dito para maglagay ng malakas na internet. Pero ano po ba kalagayan ng ating internet dito sa Pilipinas? Kasi nakasalalay pa rin po ang trabaho niya, na yung pinag-uusapan natin, nakasalalay pa rin po dyan. Yung mga riders natin, para lumakas ang kita niyan, dapat maganda ang internet. Siyempre po, pagka pinag-usapan natin, ang gusto natin magkaroon sila ng tamang karapatan, tamang sweldo, tamang lahat, dapat kumikita yung employer.
Thank you.
Ang tanong po, meron po bang pag-asa ng ating internet ay lumakas?
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond.
Please proceed.
Thank you for the question, Senator Padilla. Although we don't have let us check for the specific timeline. Pero ang sagot ko sa inyo may pag-asa naman, Senator. It's a